it's shortly after this that we get the first gospel. It's part of the New Testament canon published by Marcion. This is in 144, and it includes Evangelion, which is the first gospel published, and then you have 10 books written in the style of letters attributed to a man named Paul. But they're very stripped down versions of what we have today, and there's only 10 as opposed to 13 in the New Testament today. Like the pastorals get added later. The point is, over time, people come up with their own gospels and take the story of Jesus in a slightly different direction. Some more different than others, and then you have the letters of Paul that get added to over time with slight edits to what is already there, and new books as well, like Hebrews or 1 Timothy, 2 Timothy, Titus, that kind of shit. And we have evidence of this. We have evidence of new books showing up, like the pastorals, and we have evidence of, like, Tertullian saying that he has his own edits of Paul's letters. So we know that people are adding to these things. We know it. They admit it. But the thing is, when you ask, is he a competing sect from, like, who writes the Gospels? The answer is kinda, but not.
Well, I mean, there's really serious disagreements, like on whether or not to follow the old laws, circumcision, eating meat sacrificed by idols. I mean, those are huge contradictions.
Consider this. What does he say about circumcision? What side on the issue does he fall on? What does he say?
He's saying don't do it, because if you do it, then you'll be subject to the law.
Yep, there you go. So are you aware that there are debates within Christianity over whether or not to do circumcision, going from Justin Martyr in the middle of the 2nd century all the way to Origen at the beginning of the 3rd? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, still today even, yeah.
Okay, so, what my point is that if Paul had answered that question 100 years prior, there wouldn't be a need for it. Circumcision was something that was not required, according to Paul. But all of a sudden, we get the answer suddenly in a section in Paul that is not found in the earliest iterations of Paul's letters. The section over circumcision and saying not to do it is not found within the version of Paul's letters that were published in 144. That is indicative of someone adding it later on after they had arguments about it and they had come to a decision on it. They're using Paul as like an authority figure. So that's why you see these problems. That's why you see a pull. What you see as differences in opinion from like Paul's Christianity and like Jesus's or whatever is really just political infighting within Christianity, where you have different sects that are kind of disagreeing on theology and practices.
Okay, so hold on. Help me understand. You think that the Gospels came before or after the letters of Paul?
The first gospel that's published, Evangelion, is published at the same time as 10 letters of Paul, early versions of them. Yeah.
Okay, because I mean, it also kind of makes sense that, and despite when you think they're exactly written, but you could say that the letters of Paul came out and then the Gospels are attempting to correct that, because if these groups that are infighting are trying to start the religion, and Paul's trying to gather Greeks to convert them, and the other people are trying to have Jewish people convert to the new religion, then that could explain the infighting, that they're trying to correct what Paul is saying by saying, no, we do need to follow the law. They have Jesus saying that.
I mean, to some extent. I mean, so Matthew is where Jesus says, you need, like, I did not come to abolish the law, but to fulfill it.
Yeah,
and I would put Matthew around, I put Matthew about 145 to 150, somewhere in there. The letters of Paul that talk more about that, I would say, are probably edited a little further later.
And when you think Mark, do you not think Mark was the earliest gospel?
The first of the canonical, sure, but not the first gospel published. I would say it's Evangelion, and then it's Mark. Mark is probably a play version, like a dramatic version of Marcion's gospel.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. Man. I'll look at all this stuff.
Something that's really interesting, by the way, to anybody out there in the chat, because I know that I talk about this a lot, but this is something that Matthew and I came across the other day, my co-author here, which, by the way, you might enjoy. Let me see. You might enjoy this book here. This is my book on the topic. It's called Christ Before Jesus. You may enjoy it. I feel like you probably would.
No, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, the link's in my bio, and the ebook is just $3. But really quick,
Nice.
I did want to go over it really fast. Give me 1 second here. This is the synoptic problem, or the synoptic gospels here. So when we take a look at the synoptic, you know of the synoptic gospels, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So when we take a look at this is a particular graphic that I find useful, but I mean, it's not like exact per se, but it's pretty close. So we're going to go ahead and pull this up. This is, I'm sure you've probably seen this before if you know the synoptic problem. This is where it talks about like the different percentages of like text from these different things, right?
Yeah, this is kind of what Q is based on, right?
Well, yes, this isn't, well, yeah, this isn't a...
Someone could derive a Q from this argument.
Yes. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because they believe that Mark is used as a source for Luke and Matthew, because 41% of Luke is material that is found in triple tradition, with a total of 42% being pulled from Mark. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. The same thing over here with 46% being triple tradition and 56% being found in Mark and Matthew. Does that make sense?
Yeah, tracking.
Okay. So what they do is, because that is a huge chunk and the largest chunk out of all the material, when you factor in like the unique to Matthew stuff or the double tradition between Luke and Matthew only, that is the largest portion of Luke and Matthew. So therefore, Mark must be earlier. It must be the source material. I mean, sometimes word for word verses are pulled from Mark. You follow me here?
Yes.
But here's the thing. Using that logic, you would assume that the more that a text has unique material, the later that text is, because it's not pulling from something prior. Does that make sense?
I know that seems opposite to me.
Well, okay. Let me show you. So, like, 35%.
I mean, if I wrote a unique text today, it would be completely unique, and I don't know how later.
Yeah, unless it's based off of that. So, okay, let me explain. So, if 76% of Mark is used in the triple tradition, the one thing that isn't really quantified is the Q problem. So add in Q. So see that little dark blue down there, the 23% and the 24% down at the bottom?
Right.
Okay. So the double tradition is said to be pulled from Q. Does that make sense? So
yeah, unique to things other than Mark.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull up the. It's somewhere.
Is that your graphic? Where is that graphic?
No, this graphic is found on. It's just on Wikipedia. It's also found on Wikimedia and stuff, or Wiki.
Okay, I wrote it down.
Wiktionary or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, if you search for synoptic gospels, it'll pull it up. Give me 1 second here. Okay. So I'm going to go really fast to the Q source, or the two source hypothesis. Okay. Here we go. So this right here. Okay. So this is the two source hypothesis. They assume that because there's information that is in Matthew and Luke, that there must be something else called Q. All right. They call it Q. It's short for quell, which is German for source. But here's the thing. When we take a look at the Gospel of Luke, we see that the main source of its material, as well as Matthew, believe it or not, is Evangelion, which is published by Marcion in 144. So the question becomes, okay, well, which is first? Because in other words, we've found Q. Q is Evangelion, and done. But the question is, which is found first? Is Mark or Evangelion first? Well, considering the fact that Mark is, Mark is 76% of Mark goes into a portion of Matthew and a portion of Luke. We call that the three, or the triple tradition. Triple tradition is what that's called in scholarship. But you have to include an extra thing up here for Q, or Evangelion. And the information that's found in Evangelion is a huge amount of Luke. It is a huge amount of Luke, and it's a huge amount of Matthew, and it's also, by the way, a huge amount of Mark. There is not a single thing that is unique to Evangeline. It's not. What that means is that if later texts are utilizing it as its source, or as a source, then, which we know, that means that it would be the earliest possible one. That's where I'm going with that. That whole thing of like the more that something gets unique, the later it would possibly be, because it's using, like Luke is using a small amount of Mark, Matthew is using a slightly larger amount of Mark, but Mark utilizes a lot of information from Evangeline, and Evangeline doesn't have anything that comes from anything else.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'll look more into that. One quick question. The Gospels read like mythology. We got the disciples, just being complete idiots and, making dumb decisions. But they seem like mythology. But the letters of Paul, I'm wondering what you think they are, because there's some insight into the religion, but there's also really dumb, mundane shit in there. Like he's literally arguing about his expense reports, about getting paid for going on the road for the team.
Yeah, so
they generally seem like a guy who's just like trying to get these churches going, and also arguing about his expenses.
Right. When I say that Paul didn't exist, what I'm saying is that the Paul that's presented in the New Testament didn't exist, and I would definitely stand by that. However,
in the letters or in Acts,
either one.
Okay. Well, Acts seems like fiction.
Well, yeah, but even in Paul, I would say that guy didn't exist. I mean, Paulos is not even used as a first name. We don't have any evidence of somebody called that prior to the Paul of the Bible, believe it or not, as a first name. In fact, that's probably why they gave him a real fucking name in the Acts. They give him a name Shaul, and then just say he starts going by Paul randomly. So the point is, what it means is the small one, or the humble one. We say humble, but it technically, I guess, would be a little closer to Paul, more closer to the small one. And by the way, there's the Gospel of Mark, and that shows up later. But the Gospel of Marcion, which was published first, is from Marcion. His name means little Mark. That's what Marcion means. It was pronounced Marcion, little Mark. There's a pretty good chance that all that Paul is just a nickname or a placeholder for Marcion. And it's talking about Marcion because Marcion is said to go to Rome, and that's where he ends up debating against the church over there and having a falling out and everything and being excommunicated. That's the story of Marcion that we know. So Paul is... If you see him as Marcion, you can understand why there would be certain things that are kind of talked about that seem fairly personal or mundane within the letters. And then, as the story goes, Paul goes to Rome, and that's where the story just kind of ends.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thanks for sharing all this information. I'll check out your book, and I want to learn more about. This is the first time hearing that the Gospels may have come way later. Honestly, the first time I'm hearing this Evangeline. I'm looking that up right now. Whenever you check that out, I'll give you a follow, and I'll check back in.
Yep, not a problem.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very much for coming up.
Okay. I don't know how to drop.
I got you.
Prophecy, or in this case Joshua, because that's honestly what he would have been named anyway. You and your Josh look nothing alike, Jaron.
What?
Your brother.
He's not a biological brother.
Oh, that makes sense.
That'll explain it. That'll explain it.
Sense then.
But Hanji, I can do you one better than Joshua. Technically speaking, like we would narrow down the names, right? Mm-hmm. So Joshua, like in today's modern context, would be Josh, and then his other title just means anointed with oil, so his name is Oily Josh.
So
don't like that.
No,
Hanji,
I know. That's why I said it. No,
Jaren has met my family. Jaren's met my family. Jaren, do I look anything like my family?
No, not really.
And
Maybe a little bit, but I mean, we're talking like minimal. They're both white. Like
That's it. That's all you just got.
that's about it. They're white and can withstand the cold somehow. There, no one's that tall. I guess that's that. There's
That's
not,
true.
Like, extremely tall people.
Look at me and my family. We all look alike, especially me and my sisters.
I think the tallest
Look,
person was your sister.
look, Idaho Falls was not built for Jaren.
It was not. It was
No
built
one told
for
you to be a
it was built
Nephilim,
for people
Jaren.
who were coming out of the mines, like like really hunched over and everything.
People like Jaren are the reason why people believe in fucking Nephilims. Tall
Yeah.
asses.
The daughters of men. The daughters of men. All right. Let's see. We do have one last guest. Hopefully, this person connects. What's going on? Yeah. What's going on?
Fenderson, he's a friendly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted. Do you mind a self promotion real quick?
On what? On.
I'm doing a live tonight.
Oh, okay. I thought you were. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. What you got?
Yeah, doing a live tonight. Theological Council. We have a bunch of different people of different religious backgrounds. Just having a conversation. Only people I trust, so we're not having just shouting matches. Linksy, I sent you a message. Hanji, you are invited. I invited you last time, but you didn't come, and you
Sorry.
hurt me deeply. She just ignored me, and she didn't even respond. And I cried in a corner for hours. Anyway. So I just wanted to let everybody know, hope to see you all at 7:00 tonight Eastern Standard Time for some interesting conversations. Thank you so much, Christ before Jesus.
Yep. That is Fen. Yeah.
Fenderson.
Fen.
Yep. Fen.
Everybody follow Fen. He's going to have a live tonight. When is it again?
7 EST.
7 EST. That is 6 Central. 6 Central. Be there.
Be there.
There we go.
All right, thanks, brother.
Hey, not a problem. Well, that's it from me. Links, you got anything?
Linksy.
Yeah,
That takes me back.
There's Links. Cyber, anything? Hanji, anything?
Yeah, when are we getting
Cyber
the
left.
king-size bed for us? Me, you, and wifey.
Yep. I guess that's it.
Sleepover has to happen.
Well, I will see you guys later. Thank you to anybody and everybody who stuck around longer than 30 seconds. 35-second gang. Rise up.
Gang, gang.
Yep. And what was that person's name? Wow. What was her name? Emily. If